Okay, today we're ranking every kaiju death in the Monsterverse based on the amount of violence and brutality displayed during the kill, and they will be ranked from mild to the most brutal. Leave a like on the video and let me know down below if you guys agree or disagree with some of my selections. Okay, first we have number 10, the giant skull crawler from Godzilla vs. Kong. That was freaking awesome, bro. It was like genetically engineered by Apex to be even more awesome. It was the most beautiful display of nature, just to get brutally like sawed in half with atomic breath not seconds later. The freaking skull crawlers get brutally killed so bad in this franchise, which sucks because it's like my favorite kaiju. Top five at least. But anyways, the dude got freaking sawed in half with atomic breath, melted in half. Like that's got to be one of the most painful, worst ways possible to die. So the first one here, we're going right into brutal. Because honestly, it was like downright evil, dude. Okay, next we've got the Mother Longlegs and the Rock Claw that were battling in the Monarch TV show. It was a pretty epic battle. No serious damage was dealt though, and then they kind of just like tumbled together off a cliff into the ocean, drowning in a 1v1 fight or something like that for the Monsterverse. That's a very mild, nice way to go. Like honestly, a lot of people die that way, I'm pretty sure. So we're gonna put that one under mild for sure. Okay, Catcher. Catcher was the one from Godzilla x Kong, where Kong was like helping him up, and then as he helped him up, the dude grabbed the knife and went to stab Kong, and then he just got kicked off the cliff. I feel like this is also a pretty mild death. Like falling to your death is something that humans do also. Like it's no specific crazy kaiju kill. Plus the dude kind of had it coming. For being an evil bastard who tried to kill Kong after he saved his life, just getting kicked off a cliff is a pretty nice way to die. Considering Kong typically rips his head, like the heads off of his victims, I think this dude got very lucky. I'm also very confused why the crap he's named Catcher in the franchise. Okay, for the Killer Chameleons, honestly, anyone Kong killed in that Skull Island animated show was so brutal. That monkey was going crazy. But like, to be smashed, I guess, honestly, just smashed against the wall by your tail feels specifically brutal to me. Like if someone grabbed my foot and smashed me against the wall till everything inside my body was like turned to broken jelly, I feel like that'd be crazy. But it wasn't like anything specifically nuts. Like that's something that, I don't know, a gorilla might do to a toddler. It's horrible, but it's nothing that specifically feels like a horrible kaiju death. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and put that one under harsh. It was a harsh death, but nothing crazy. See, Tiamat's a tough one because the death was damn near instant, but super brutal deaths can be instant. Like Johnny Storm in Deadpool 3, he died in like half a second, but it was like the most brutal half a second death possible. But I feel like when you're dead in half a second from like atomic breath, I don't know, it feels like it'd be better. But then again, Tiamat was sliced up into multiple pieces as they like floated up to the top of the surface. So honestly, if you cut me up into a bunch of pieces, that's brutal, dude. So yeah, I feel like she belongs up there. Okay, Mothra's death in King of the Monsters when she gets a face full of Monster Zero's gravity beam. It's pretty hardcore, but it was like also a sacrifice. She intentionally died by that. So like when you choose your death, it already feels a lot better. You're dying on your own terms. It was harsh because it was sad because it was Mothra dying, but like the act of getting blasted with electricity and instantly vaporized at your own will, nevertheless, doesn't actually sound brutal. It doesn't even sound harsh. It sounds actually kind of mild. So there we go. Okay, Melbuto's death in Godzilla 2014 was more just disrespectful than anything. Like, it wasn't really brutal. He was swatted against the building like a freaking fly. Honestly, I've killed many flies that way, that specific way. So, like, I don't really consider it that hard. It was an instant death. He didn't see it coming, and it was just kind of disrespectful. So, I'm gonna have to put this one under mild also. It was crazy, but it just wasn't anything. So, he died like trash. Okay, the smashed ape. This dude was like part of the apes that were pursuing Kong and Godzilla X Kong, like going through his numerous traps that he had laid out. This was like the first one that was killed by a giant swinging rock. Super instant death, very impersonal. Like it wasn't any sort of craziness. Limbs weren't ripped off. He wasn't cooked alive or diced into pieces. He was simply killed by a rock, which I feel like happens to people all the time. So under mild you go. Okay, the Kraken. The Kraken in the Skull Island animated show received like the craziest ground and pound beating I've ever seen before. When it's in animated form, Kong could punch much quicker and he was going crazy on that thing. So I'm actually going ahead and put this one under brutal just because I've never seen Kong beat the hell out of something so efficiently before. Okay, the Skull Devil in Kong Skull Island has his guts ripped out of his mouth. Pretty freaking brutal. He also catches like a flare to the eye from Brie Larson and gets some pretty bad cuts from like that boat propeller. I feel like that was a brutal death. Like that was a brutal death, dude. You grab my tongue and pull my guts out through my face. That's about as brutal as it gets, to be honest. So brutal it goes. Okay, gnarled finger. I'm 99% sure. Actually, I'm 100% sure. This is the monkey that Scar King kicks into the lava to like just be a dick, to be just like kicked, donkey mule kicked into lava, like brutally in front of all your people to be made an example out of. That was like evil as hell. That's about as evil as you could get. Being tossed into lava is actually, I was gonna put it under harsh, but I think if I had to slowly melt into lava, I feel like that'd be pretty terrible. That'd be brutal. Okay, Monster Zero's death in the end of King of the Monsters was obviously like harsh as hell. Not because he was like melted by the atomic pulses, which would be pretty painful itself, just being like live melted while you keep regenerating and then cooking over and over again. But I feel like it was the ending where Godzilla has Monster Zero's head in his mouth and then he atomic breaths. That was like the most gangster send-off ever right there, but it was also extremely brutal. Okay, we've got the skull crawler in Kong Skull Island that was like beating the crap out of everyone in the graveyard, and then big boobed Brie Larson. That was unnecessary. They were just freaking huge in that movie. She threw that lighter into like the gas leak hole where the crawlers come out of, and like the explosion killed them. It was a pretty brutal death, but like, I don't know. I feel like the crawler had just killed so many more people in such more brutal ways that it looked actually like a rather instant nice death, to be honest. They killed him damn near instantly. He died in one piece. He wasn't even split into two pieces, so he goes under mild. Okay, the Frostbark. Now, I didn't get as much joy out of this thing. This TV show is really pissing me off by this point. The kaiju were amazing, but the humans were so annoying. But otherwise, the creature itself was awesome. However, its death, honestly, do we even know if it died? It got sucked into the giant, like, explosion when the Hollow Earth portal was, like, nuked or whatever, or bombed. But we don't actually get verification that it's dead. But I guess if it is, it seems like a pretty tough creature. If it is dead, it was rather a mild death, to be honest. We didn't even see it die.
Cut it off at the legs!
Okay, the mother longlegs in Kong Skull Island. This thing that was a brutal scene, bro. People were getting feet down their throats and other horrible deaths. And then they just pretty much shoot it to death, which honestly is like, if you're in the kaiju lifestyle, I feel like getting shot by little ants is like the best way to go out. I guess it was a pretty brutal death, but you gotta look at its lifestyle. It's a kaiju. It's realistically gonna get eaten by other kaiju or something eventually, which would be a much more brutal death. As far as this thing goes, that's probably the best case scenario, getting shot by humans. It's a good ending for this thing, so I'm gonna put it under mild. Okay, next we've got the Rock Claw from Godzilla vs. Kong. It just gets eaten by Doug, which is like the standard way these things die. Like they're below him on the food chain. They're a food source for many things. I feel like that's like the best case scenario. I guess getting eaten alive is pretty crazy though, but it's like a background thing. It wasn't even eventful. It was just Doug eating. So I'm gonna put that under mild. The Ion Dragon, we don't even see die either. Godzilla rips his wing off and throws him into the Hollow Earth portal. So for all I know, I was just pictured wherever that portal goes, there's just like a one-wing Ion Dragon just kind of hopping around trying to eat. But again, if they get like thrown off screen, we're considering them dead in this scenario. So getting your wing whipped off, I think that's harsh because he's not going to be able to like have any quality of life after that. He can't fly, can't hunt, can't do a lot of stuff. So it's a pretty brutal way to end things. It's not actually brutal. It's just harsh, but yes. Okay, the Drowned Viper, we don't even see die on camera. He's beating Kong's butt, and then the camera frames away, and then, like, the Drowned Viper's just cut into pieces. But he was cut into a lot of pieces. A lot of pieces. And then he was eaten after by monkeys. I don't know. I feel like when you're diced into that many pieces, no matter how quick your death is, it's brutal, dude. There's no reason to cut people up into that many pieces. Dexter Morgan. So, yeah, I'm gonna put that under brutal. For the Warbat, I'm gonna put that under harsh. It was a pretty harsh death. Eating his neck guts is hardcore, mind you, but he was already dead by that point. Had he have eaten those neck guts when the thing was alive, then maybe brutal. But otherwise, it just seemed like a pretty standard takedown. Like the death wasn't anything eventful, and then he just started eating him after. But like the snake was dead. You know what I mean? Okay, next we've got the crushed apes, the other ones that were following Kong and then fell victim to his magnificent booby traps, which was like, what the hell, Kong's smart enough to make booby traps now? But honestly, I didn't mind it. I thought it was kind of cool. These deaths, however, were extremely mild. They were impersonal, they died in one piece, basically quick, like off-camera deaths almost that you don't even care about, but they were on camera, but like, I don't know. I didn't really care about them. Okay, Scylla's death was infamously brutal. That was like one of Godzilla's most brutal takedowns ever. That was like so much more than just claiming territory or like a turf battle. That was legit like hatred. Godzilla was really pissed off in the last movie, and I feel like Scylla caught a good amount of it. Mechagodzilla is like the first kaiju in the franchise to get beat up by both Godzilla and Kong and like dismembered all of it, bro, all of it. Not to mention Godzilla killed him like 3 years before however long King of the Monsters took place, because Mechagodzilla is Monster Zero's brain. So the dude died again, and the second time he died, he got cut up into pieces. The very end, he's like limping away on one leg, and he doesn't get very far. It's brutal, bro. So yeah, Mechagodzilla is going under brutal. It's crazy. Okay, the Meyer squid, the big meal Kong gets in Skull Island, I feel like was a more mild death that didn't feel like brutal at all. I don't know. It was crazy, but it was more crazy just to see how effortlessly Kong could kill that thing. I feel like the effortlessly part made it seem a lot less brutal. I'm gonna put that under mild for sure. Okay, the warthogs, those giant, horrifying animals from Godzilla X Kong that I believe if they got up to the surface, they could do such a detrimental amount of damage to society. Like, oh my god, I couldn't even imagine that. Like, worse than skull crawlers, really, because they're like pack-oriented. They're freaking huge too. I feel like they're well bigger than a crawler. Either way, these ones in the movie just kind of died by rocks, like same as the crushed apes. Nothing too spectacular. Kong did rip one of them in half and cover himself in his blood, but the animal was already dead for that. So if it's already dead when you start like mutilating it, doesn't seem as brutal, so I'm gonna put this one under mild as well. Okay, Fimuto got the first recorded kiss of death in the Monsterverse, which is when Godzilla like holds their mouth open and atomic breaths down their throat. Freaking super gangster. Most gangster thing possible to do. She was also mourning like 10,000 children, so I don't know, doing that to a mourning single mother just seems even crazier, bro. So that's obviously going under brutal. And then last we've got Scar King, who does have one of the most brutal deaths in the franchise. Not only did he get beat up, but then he got frozen, and then Kong just like slam dunks him onto the ground, just like shattered into pieces. I feel like that's a pretty cool way to go out. Plus, something you don't consider, when he was frozen by Shimo, he's like, oh, he was in horrible frostbite pain. Like that getting on Kong's fist a little bit was incredibly painful. So could you like imagine that all over your body, just like frost burn every inch of your body and then slam down into 1,000 pieces? It'd be a very brutal way to die, bro. Honestly, a super brutal way to die. So he is going under brutal as well. Here's my list of all the deaths, the kaiju deaths in the Monsterverse. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. I feel like I definitely forgot something. Either way, though, the list looks kind of beautiful. So leave a like, let me know down below, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time.